Hi everyone, welcome to Nimzo-Larsenist. This is the first game to the Nimzo-Larsen series. The games are going to be either anonymous or through the Nimzo-Larsenist account. Let's begin. White starts off with pawn to b3. Remember, the first three moves are 99% of the time going to be b3, bishop b2, and pawn to e3. Bishop goes to c5. So as you can see, this move is an issue. The queen comes out too early, and it also places itself on the diagonal of the sniper bishop. So what do? We put pressure on the pinned piece. Pawn goes to d6. So at the moment, before, we had two attackers versus two defenders. Now what we want to do is we want to add a third attacker to e5. So knight f3 was played. Now in this situation here, we have 1, 2, 3 attackers and 2 defenders. So what Black should have considered is to either come out to defend or pin the knight. I apologize for so many arrows. So knight c6 or bishop g4, I think, could have been some moves that Black should have considered. Bishop e6 was played, and of course this pawn is now gone. F takes e5, d takes e5, and bishop takes e5. I like bishop takes e5 in this position because it's a fork. However, Black also has to play correctly to not lose the rook in the corner. So queen g6 was the correct move to not lose the rook. Decided to capture the pawn on c7. Yes, this could potentially be a greedy move. However, I didn't really see that Black had anything that great to do in the game. So knight c6, I quickly bring the bishop back. I always have a tendency of always bringing the bishop back closer to home because we know hanging pieces can be a problem. Knight f6, bishop d3, bringing out the bishop and also attacking the queen. Now, it was a better move to move the queen to h5 or to g4. However, my opponent blocked with the bishop. Now, please remember, before you allow your queen, your strongest piece, to protect something, just make sure that that queen cannot be chased away. Because a queen can be attacked by a pawn, a knight, a bishop, a rook, basically almost all of the other pieces. So, in this situation, I found the move knight to h4, which creates a fork. Queen goes to g5, winning the bishop. Pawn to g6. Now, in this case, I know there are some tempting moves like knight to d6 and knight to g7. However, if you move knight to g7, you are trapping your own knight. Please refrain from trapping your own pieces. Now, did not like knight to d6 because this pawn will be hanging. So after knight d6, bishop takes, queen takes g2. Now the rook is a little bit, we're giving Black a little bit of chances. You want to refrain giving your opponent any chances in the game. Knight goes to h4. Knight goes to g4. I wasn't for sure what this move was about because this sacrifice isn't very good at this moment since the king isn't castled yet. So I decided to quickly castle, and let's develop our last piece. Knight c to e5. Knight goes to e4, creating a fork. Now, I also noticed, because of the pawn g6, Black squares are weak. So I was thinking, Even if the queen moves away, we can try to get rid of the defender on f6, and maybe that could create some interesting chances. Queen goes to e7, pawn goes to h3. Now, sadly to say, my opponent did a blunder here with knight to f6, which was clearly hanging. The rook and the knight are both defending the square. Knight h6, and there were some ideas of potentially maybe moving the bishop back and trying to create a fork. So it's always important to look at patterns. So this is a very common pawn fork pattern. Always remember you can think about teleporting your pieces to create plans. Knight f6, knight takes f6, king g7, now bishop takes e5, because we are going to, if the queen captures here, find the fork. If you want, you can pause the video. However, please unpause if you would like to know the answer. Knight goes to d7, and bishop, queen, and rook are all going to be in danger. King h6. This was an unusual move. Probably there could have been much stronger moves than what I had played. But I played knight to g4, king goes to g5. Maybe there was checkmate somewhere, but I just decided to go for the queen instead. King and queen are on the same diagonal. King h5, and knight goes to e5. Black left the game. And thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the game. And if you are wondering why I enjoy playing on an anonymous or unlogged in account, is because you have no idea what level of opponent you're going to get. Sometimes that's a bad thing. Sometimes it's a good thing. However, there is less stress. And plus, it gets very interesting when I do get games of very strong chess players as well. Have a good day.